Students, again let's continue with the chapter number 6, that is function, and in today's lecture we are going to learn the topics such as importing modules, incremental development, boolean function, leap of faith and checking types. So the first topic is importing module. Basically last lecture we have seen different inbuilt functions which are present in the math module. So basically in other programming languages like in C++ or C language, we make use of header files. But what is header file? Header files contain some inbuilt function, and whenever we want to use that particular function in our program, first we have to import them, right? So the writing, we can say that style is different in case of C. Otherwise the functionality is same. Means in case of C and C++ we are using header files. Similarly in Python we are having module. Okay, the header files we can say that known as the modules in case of Python. Header file contains some inbuilt functions. Similarly the modules which are present in Python, they also contain some uh, inbuilt function. So before using the function of any module, first we have to import it. Means first we have to declare it or use it in our program. So this declaration or this import statement implementation can be done in Python in two ways that we are going to learn today, and we can also create our own module. So the first topic of today's session is importing module. So basically what is module? Module allows you to logically organize your Python code. So how to create module? For that purpose I have given one example. Just see the first square bracket, that is def print underscore func, and it is parameterized function, and in that we are having print within double quotes. We have just printed the message as hello comma par, and then we make use of return statement. Okay, so and save this program with the support.py. The name of the file is support and the extension is py, as it is a Python program. So support.py, with this name we have to store this program or store this file. So now whatever we have written, that is nothing but we have created the module, and the name of the module is same to the name in which you have saved that particular file. So now as I said, you should save this particular file with the help of support.py name. This name you should consider. So support is nothing but one module which contains one ready-made function, that is print underscore func. Now the next part is import statement. Means now we have created the module. Now we want to make use of that module in our normal program or the remaining program. So just see the syntax on the top of second half session. That is, whenever we want to import the module, we have to make use of import keyword. After import, just write down the name of the module. And it's not necessary that at a time you can import only single module. If you want, we can import multiple modules. So the implementation of the same is given in again the example, that is hash import module support statement. Hash means this is nothing but the comment in Python. So the program which we have written, in that we are actually going to implement the module, support module, which we have just created. So how we will import that particular module? By writing first statement as import and name of your Python file, that is support. So import space support means now we have imported the support module, and because of which we can make use of all the functions which are present in support.py file. And this is the reason why to call the function we have written, like in case of math module, we have to write down import math, right? And then we make use of while printing the statement math.py, math.e, math.sin, math.cos. Like that we make use of the functions, inbuilt functions which are present under math module. Similarly, now we have our own module, that is user defined module. We have created support, and in that module we are having print function. So to access the function which is present inside the module, we will write the statement as name of the module dot name of the function, and then pass the parameter whatever you want. And just remember that the number of parameters which are needed or which you have defined in the module. So now we have created print function in support module, which is parameterized function having single parameter, and this is the reason why when we call this function, we have written support dot print underscore func into round bracket. We have provided one parameter. We can provide number also if you want. Now I have just provided one name, that is Zara. So this is modules in Python. We are having so many inbuilt module, and if you want to create module in Python, that is again possible. So now this we have seen, that is one way of importing module. There is one more way also, that is with the help of from import statement also we can access the module. Basically we are not making use of this statement commonly. We mostly use import statement only, import and then name of the module. So how we can use from import statement? So for the same, syntax is given, just write down from keyword, after that name of the module from which you want to access the methods. Okay, so from the module name, after that make use of import keyword, and after import keyword whatever functions you want to access, whatever methods you want to access from that particular module, just write down list of that method. For example, now we are having one more module in Python which is not actually part of our syllabus, that is Fibonacci. Sorry, Fib module is there. And in Fib module we are having one method, that is Fibonacci, which is used to calculate the Fibonacci series. So now I want to import Fibonacci method from Fib module. So for the same I am making use of from import statement. So just write down from keyword, then name of the module. What is name of our module? Fib. After that write down import statement, that is import keyword, and after import what we want to import, which function, which method we want to import, that is Fibonacci. So just write down name of the method, that is Fibonacci. Or just take the previous example, that is we are having support module, and in support module we are having one we have the function as print underscore func, right? So if you want to import a specific function from a specific module, then you can make use of from import statement. So if we want to apply from import statement for our previous example, then we can write from, what was name of our file? Support. So from support import print underscore func. That is again valuable. And there is one more way of using from import statement, that is just see the example or syntax. We have written from keyword, after that we have written name of the module, then we make use of import keyword, and after import keyword we just put asterisk, that is star symbol. So basically if you want to import all the functions, all the methods present in the module, then you can write this statement. Now in previous example we have just make use of specific method. We have just imported a single method or specific method from the module. But if you want all the methods from a particular module, then you can write from module name import keyword and put asterisk. So star indicates that we want to import all the methods which are part of the specific module. So this is importing module. You will be having write a note on this topic, that is how to import module. And there is one more question, that is what is module, and create your own module. So for that purpose you can refer the previous slide. And there are two ways to importing module. First way is just to use import statement, and the second way is use of from import statement. I hope both the things are clear to you. Now the next topic is incremental development. Incremental development means if somebody has given us the assignment, that is create one project, and that particular project contains Fibonacci series function, addition function, and even or checking function. So these three functions we have to create. So incremental development means at the initial stage we cannot start making all the functions at a time. We will first divide the requirements. Okay, that is first I want to create Fibonacci function. So previously we will totally focused on that function only, that is whatever number of variables will be required, what logic we are going to use. We can write the Fibonacci function with the help of array also, normal variables also, or with the help of function also. So what technique, strategy we are going to use, so that all thing we have to decide. And once we are done with the coding part, interface part, testing part of the particular function, then we will go to the second part. Means it's not the case that we will start doing our project at the same time, that is we will start creating the all the methods which we want, which are specified in the project's requirement. No, this is not the case. We will one by one or step by step will create the project. So that is nothing but incremental development. Whatever we are going to develop, that is part of single project only, but in the form of increments. Means first we will create Fibonacci series function as specified in the requirements. After that we will create, once that function is totally done, then we will create add function. We will perform testing of it, and once the add function is ready, we will combine both the functions in a single project, and like that we will work. And after combining, again we will check whether we are having or any errors or not, so that we will check. So like that we will complete our project step by step. So that is nothing but the incremental development. So this concept is there in Python. If the function code is bigger, then we have to spread maximum time to debug. Means once, if at first time we are started with all three functions, then definitely it is going to take time in debugging, and again it is very difficult to identify the errors. Okay, so these are the two things, that is if the project is bigger, definitely it will take more debugging time, and if we are if error is occurred, then it is very difficult for us to find out that specific error. So to simplify this task of dealing with large code, we can use the process, and that process is called as incremental development. The basic goal of incremental development is to avoid long debugging sessions by adding and testing only small amount of code at a time. As I said, we are having big project which contain 3 methods, but we will not start with all 3 methods same time. First we will create one method. Once it is done, it is perfectly working, then and then only we will start with the second one. So this concept is used in incremental development. Important points of this process is, starts with working program and make a small incremental changes. At any point if there is an error, you should have a clear idea where it is. As we have started with one function, so definitely, or small code, then definitely it is easy to find out the error, and it is easy to set that particular error. So this is first point which we should remember in case of incremental development. That is, first we have to make small changes to the point, to the code. Okay, and if there is error, then we should have clear idea that where is the problem or where is that particular error is. Second point, use temporary variables to hold intermediate values so you can display and check them. Like in case of Fibonacci series, again we are making use of c equal to a plus b, then a equal to b equal to c. These 3 lines are very important in case of Fibonacci series. So here we are making use of that c is nothing but our temporary function which we are just displaying, but the actual values are stored inside a and b, whose addition is going to get performed. Second example we can take, we have seen the swapping program, that is temp equal to a equal to b equal to temp. So temp is nothing but the temporary variable. So we are going to store the actual value inside the temp variable, and from the temporary variable we can find out the value, or we can easily find out whether we are getting the correct output or not. And then once the program is working, means once you are ready with the program, then remove some temporary structure and consolidate them into compound statement. Means sometimes what happened, just to see the error, most of the time we just print the value of particular variable, so that if we are not getting the final answer from the printed value, we will come to know that at this point, that is after when we printed temporary variable after fifth line, and that particular value is wrong, means it is clear that the problem or error is in previous line only. So that we will come to know. So after consolidation, means once you are done with your program, just remove those printed statement, because now you have tested the program, it is working properly, there is no issue. Then don't just display the more content, only display the things which are required for the program. So now just take the example that suppose we want to find out area of circle. This is our project, that is in our project we want to find the area of a circle given by the radius, and formula is given, as we all know that the formula for to calculate area of circle is pi r square. So step number 1, at this step we can establish the input parameters and the output values. Means actually most of the time this is the case, if you have clear idea about the output, then it will be easy for you to write down the code. This is simple logic in case of any programming. If you don't know what to display or what is expected output, you are not going to able to write the perfect code for the same. So this point they have seen, that is first we should know the number of inputs we are required and what will be the output or what will be the outcome of the code which we are going to write. So these two things should be clear in your mind. Then and then only you can start with the program. So as in this case, it is clear that we want to create a function which will calculate the area. And to calculate the area of a circle, it is very very important that we should have radius. Pi value is fixed, but we have to take the radius from the user or any technique which we want to use. So this thing should be clear in your mind. So that is nothing but the first step. And again one more important thing, that is you should know or you should have clear idea about the output type. Means whatever value which will be produced as a result, so that value is of which type, that also you should decide. That is whether we are going to get the output as integer value or floating value, that again we have to think. So this is our first step. Second step, build the code block that calculate the area of circle. So we have created or we have written the statement as def, then C area. C area is nothing but a function which will calculate area of circle. So for the circle area, the name of the function is C area. Into round bracket, definitely it is going to be a parameterized function. That is why, because we want to take radius from the user or we want to pass the manually value of radius. So the C area is going to be parameterized function, and that is again single parameter. We will not take value of pi from the user, because if we are allowing this, then user can enter any value which he or she wants. So the second step is build the code block that calculate the area of the circle. So initially we have created C area function, and in which we have written value as 0 0. Okay. After that, so when we provide the value C area into round bracket 2, still it will return the result as 0 0. Why? Because in return statement, what expression we have written 0.0. So whatever value you pass to the function, there is no logic which is actually written inside the function. So the second step is we have just decided the name of the function, we can say that. Then the name the function should contain return statement or not, that we have decided. And then we have decided the parameter of a function. After that, step number 3 is that is we will actually return the formula or the logic which will calculate the respected function or respected value. So the third step, in which we have written or we compute the area of circle by using the formula. So this is the reason why the function name we have or the parameters we kept same only. But before return statement, we have calculated area by writing a equal to 3.14 into r into r. Okay, and then we have written the value written a. Okay, so this is actual your program. When now if you pass the values to this function, then definitely you are going to get the expected result only. So this is your third step. And now we are having fourth step, that is we will check whether our function is working properly or not. If there are error, we can easily find out. Okay, so that we have written, we have just added in step number 4. Means now if you notice, we are not writing the entire function at the same time, which we normally does, right? Here we have first created the name of the function, its parameter. After that we have written only the return statement and calculative part. In fourth we have added one more line, that is print a, which will actually display the result. And if you don't want to make use of print a statement, then when you will call the function C area, you have to store the value, calculated value of C area function into a variable, and then display that particular variable in print function. So this is one way you can write the same program. So I hope this is clear to all. Incremental development means what? We are not going to write entire code at the same time. Okay, step by step we will add one line so that it will be easy for you. Definitely now if first we are having 2 lines, we are not getting any errors, then we have added one more line. After that if we are getting error, then we will have clear idea, yes, I have added this line because of which we are getting error. So error finding or debugging is very easy. So this is the topic incremental development. I hope this is clear to you. Now next topic is Boolean function. Basically Boolean function means if the function's result is true and false, then we can call that particular function as a Boolean function. Just see the example. We have created xyz function, which is parameterized function having 2 parameters s comma t. Then we have calculated if s modulus t equal to 0, means if s is completely divisible by t, then we have stored the value true inside result variable. And if this condition is false, then we are having else part, in which we added result equal to false. And then at the end, that is outside of the if else statement, we have written result. Okay, and the last line of the program is print x comma 4 comma 2. So what will be the expected output? Now by default we are not having the result as true and false. We have set the value of result variable to true and false, depending upon the condition is true and or false. So now we pass the value to the function xyz as 4 comma 2. So what output we will get from this program? 4 comma 2. So definitely we will divide 4 by 2, and the remainder we will get is 0, because 4 is completely divisible by 2. So if condition is true, and this is the reason why we will get output as true. So if any function returns result as true or false, then that is called as Boolean function. Next topic is leap of faith. Actually leap of faith is totally, we can say that it's a kind of hypothetical topic. Leap of faith means we can take simple example, as we are using inbuilt function. When we make use of inbuilt functions which are present in the directory of specific language, right? While using that function we are very confident. Why we are confident? Because definitely they are come along with the software, so they are working only. There will not be any error or any mistake. So, and when we suppose somebody tell you to write some specific program, the first we hesitate, that is whatever I have written, that is right or wrong, and because of which we are not able to show that particular program to your teacher. Most of the time this occurs because we are not confident about our code. It means that, in other words, we can say that we don't have leap of faith in our program. So this topic is leap of faith. That is, we should and this concept is basically suggested by the Ellen B. Downey. Leap of faith. So leap of faith is very simple topic. I am not going to read the content. In simple words I am going to tell you that leap of faith means just have trust in your code. Okay, if you don't have trust, then what will happen? You will not able to show your talent to somebody, and because of which whatever program you have written, that will remain in your book only. That is not going to get executed, Okay, so leap of faith means as we are having trust in inbuilt function, similarly we should have trust in a function which we have created. You should have confidence about your programming, in simple word. So leap of faith means always whenever you are working with anything, or if you are writing the code, just have faith, just have trust in yourself. Okay, this is called as leap of faith. After reading the slide, you will come to know about the same thing. In simple words, I have just explained that is what is leap of faith. And you all know that if we are having confidence in ourselves, then definitely the something great is going to be happen. So always have leap of faith in normal living also, as well as while programming also. Because as a new programmer, most of the students are not confident about their code. Okay, so just have that confidence. If your program is not working properly, nobody is going to uh, kill you, in simple words. So always have confidence in your program. From your mistakes only you will learn, but you should have confidence to show your mistake to others. Then we have the last topic of our chapter, that is function chapter, checking types. Checking types, again this is again very simple concept. Basically, uh, suppose somebody has given you the assignment, that is create a factorial function, find a factorial of a float value. We already did factorial program, but factorial program means we have calculated the factorial of 5, 4. So normal numbers or integers values we have calculated the factorial. But if somebody tell you to write down the program for calculating the floating value, okay, so in that situation we are not going to make use of any inbuilt function. As we have seen, we are having fib module in which we are having Fibonacci. So similarly factorial also we are having one more inbuilt function is available, but that inbuilt function is designed for integer value only. If we are trying to provide floating point value to that inbuilt function, then definitely we are going to get error. So what is solution for the same? Definitely we will create our user defined function for the same. Okay, and then we will definitely going to get the factorial of the result. So checking type means when we create such type of program, we are having one facility to check the type which we have type of the parameters which we have passed to the function, and to check the type of parameter whatever function user defined function you have created. For that we are having one inbuilt function with the help of which you can identify the type of your arguments which you have passed to the function, and that function is instance. Just see the syntax of is instance. Is instance function is having two parameters. First parameter is object and the second parameter is class info. Object, again both the parameters are mandatory. So just see the example. In this example, in is instant function, we have passed the parameter, two parameters. First parameter is within single quotes we have passed a. So first parameter is object, and definitely if we are passing the object in single quotes, so that is nothing but string type. Okay, and comma class info means while providing the information about a, we have passed the data type as int, but as we know that a is a string value, it's not the integer, so we will get the output of this function as false. Why? Because the object and its information is not match, it is clashing, right? So this is called as is instance. So basically why we make use of is instance function? Just to see the type of arguments which we have passed to the function. So as in case we have passed a as a string, first argument, that is of your object is of string type, and while providing its information we have written int as a data type, so that is wrong. So definitely is function will give you the result as true and false. So it's a kind of boolean function when we are having is keyword with any function. We have seen is inf, is nan, so like we are having is instance also. So this much is there about the chapter number 6 of second unit, that is function. We are having one more topic, one more chapter in second unit, that is string, which we are going to start in next lecture. So till the time, stay home, stay safe. Thank you very much.